Hey there, I hope you're all doing great, but today I wanted to share with you how I designed my book cover for The Silhouetted Leaves, a book I published in 2009, and which rights have been since returned to me. In the process of the relaunch, I have to create the cover, and being someone who loves to do things myself, this is my go at it. We're going to go from this to this. So stick around and take notes on what you can or wouldn't do yourself while I make the book cover.
Let's just get started. I'm a YouTuber, and today I'm giving you
Today I'm going to show you guys how to make some delicious
mouth-watering smoky pulled pork.
Today it is all about making an awesome family history.
Hi guys, today we're going to be doing this.
Today I'm going to show you how you can germinate and grow your own cherries.
And once you're done with that all around, you put the excess minor.
There's actually a good amount of work that goes into creating a cover because it needs to draw the reader in. The saying, "Don't judge a book by its cover," acknowledges the fact that most people do indeed judge a book by its cover. So what we want to do is provide some visual cues to the potential reader and set the mood for the book. It has to match, or at least draw in the curiosity of the prospective reader.
Whenever I'm making something that I want to personally buy, it's like, let's make this really intriguing in every part of it. Like every part of it should feel like its own element that was well thought out.
For my graphic design needs, I tend to use GIMP, which is a freeware program. It takes some getting used to and isn't the most intuitive, but it is powerful and has a ton of features that I really like. So if you're using another program like Adobe InDesign, the concepts can still work for you, but will most likely be found in different locations. So really important, before you begin designing your book cover, you need to know your dimensions. So here I am setting the dimensions and double checking because I know I'm going to be publishing it on Amazon, and they have a wonderful tool where it tells you essentially the dimensions that your book needs to be to. So I'm just making sure everything matches up. And of course, for print, you want to have at least 300 DPI, so dots per inch. Now we can actually design. So now we have our blank slate, and we're gonna go from this to this. So let's go. So let's create the room. Here I'm just creating planes, new layers that I can manipulate and begin to visualize better. Using the perspective tool, I can shape them into the corner of a room that isn't quite centered on the front cover to show some of the imbalance that will come from the storyline. When trying to incorporate other visuals, graphics, vectors, or images, be sure to source them with the appropriate copyright. Copyright can destroy your project if you're not doing it right. You need to have the rights to use this. Modify it and in commerce, meaning this image can be used as part of a sellable product where the proceeds go to you and not to the artist, right? So since you should be concerned about copyright, I encourage you to read a bit more about it. And I'll provide a link below for a quick breakdown of the different copyrights. But as you can see, I settled on these leaves. Well, I at least wanted to see them in the design, but I'm liking the way they're looking. As part of the cover though, I don't want them to appear normal as they represent a very dark place. So we're going to change them and make them different and kind of off on purpose. This idea of the leaves is creeping in from the corner is also important to the story, but also looks pretty cool here. I wanted to do a cool design with the actual font and the lettering for the title, but I'm not really liking the way this is looking now that I'm kind of putting it together and I've had some time to digest it, if you will. So I'm going to try that again and try a little bit of a different approach. So let's take a look at that. Okay, so color design too is really important. You know, I'm not necessarily a color theorist or anything, of course, right? I'm literally doing this stuff on my own. I don't have a theory. I'm just kind of showing you like what you can do, right? If you decide that you want to go with a professional, absolutely, I recommend it. It's a great idea. This whole video, I don't know how long it's going to end up being, but I know this first part of the video, it was already an hour and a half just in this first part. So yeah, zooming in, making the colors, checking them out, seeing how that looks. So I found these pictures on Pexels of hands. I kind of wanted the hands to be coming out because in the story, the leaves kind of grab the mind of the victim, essentially. So they're not physical hands, but I kind of want that visual representation of like the ability to grab. So I think these vines kind of already provide that in a way. But here I'm going to manipulate the images a little bit more just to kind of encourage hands in there. The idea of like, oh, these can grab, right? Okay. For now, I'm going to end this recording right there. And we're going to come back to this because, you know, sometimes you got to step away from a project when you're getting too close to it and take a little bit of a break.
Whenever I'm making something that I want to personally buy, it's like, let's make this really intriguing.
Okay, so here we are, the actual complete layout that I finally settled on. So you'll notice those leaves that we spent some time on, still there. And these leaves over here, still there. So I really like those. And then I did a little something different with the name. I changed the font. Since we just ended on that, changed the font and gave it a little bit of a blur on the edges just to add to this idea of insecurity, right? Also incorporate this hand. I got rid of the other hands that I had put up here because once we were at this stage and I kind of changed it, the hands weren't really working for me anymore. So decided to get rid of those. Honestly, they just looked fake. It looked like a really bad Photoshop job. So got rid of them. And I much prefer these the way that this turns out. I used the smudge tool on the edge of some of the leaves here to kind of also give it that kind of blurriness, that creepy feeling as if they're reaching. So that's how I achieved the reaching aspect of it. At least in my mind I did. Changed the color. I like the blue a little bit more and gave this a shift. So just tiny detail. Nothing that's crazy. And then I also used a vignette at the bottom of the leaves here, just to give it just a touch of red. Just enough to kind of draw in the curiosity. At least that's in my mind. That's what I was doing.
It just doesn't feel like type is slapped onto something, which is my biggest pet peeve with book designs. It's literally just like type on a photo.
I'm like,
right, yeah.
Oh, and you'll see here like these little details. I just used my free select tool, selected around it, so that it looks like the E and the S are kind of going into the leaves here.
I'm like,
and you'll also notice I changed up the fonts as well. So I actually kept the from earlier, put it through the ringer, so now it has like this kind of interesting texture to it that I actually really like. And then I also kept with the fonts and the colors for the spine. And one thing I didn't mention, or I kind of show in the other one but I didn't mention it, is this guy here. So with Amazon, you can download your template, and I always put it on the top so that I can see exactly where everything's fitting. So the red is your bleed. Essentially, that's danger. There's a good chance that that's all going to get cut off, right? But when you want to have images to the end, you need to have that. So you have to consider that as part of the process. And then, of course, this light gray area title, the leaves are off to the side still. I kept that corner, or like the floor essentially of our room, and just instead of smudging or making this bottom one kind of unrecognizable, I essentially just did a mirror image and made it flow a little bit. So I decided to do black and white interior with cream paper, 5.25 by 8, because I don't like the 6 by 9. I think it appears or comes off as too much like self-publishy, because that's very common in the self-published industry. So instead I changed to 5.25 by 8. I like it a lot more. And hopefully if it comes in today, I will be able to put that into the video. You're going to order your proof. It's relatively inexpensive. But again, here's the file. I uploaded it as PDF as required. They input the ISBN and everything there already. Looks good. Everything's within the lines. The red is the bleed, right? Or the safety. The white is the bleed, I think. So everything, every important thing is within the spot that it needs to be, which is important. That's why we use that guide. And then here we have the interior that I also designed. And you'll see elements here from the cover that I incorporated into the title page. And then the book begins. So there we have it. All right, so it came. Let's take a look. Even though it's a proof, the excitement of holding your book in your hands, like this is your baby, especially if you go through this process with me, like you designed the cover, you designed the interior, and you wrote the thing, right? Nothing more exciting than that. Of course, selling is always nice too, but at least at this point, you have something physical that you can be really proud of. Not everybody can do that. Not everybody has the know-how. And even if you did decide to have somebody else put it all together for you, you still wrote a freaking book, right? And you didn't use AI, did you? So yeah, congratulations. And thank you so much for sticking around. If you stuck around to this part, I hope that you found some things that you like and maybe even some things that you probably won't do. Whatever it is, I'd love to hear about it. So leave a comment below. But otherwise, oh, and don't forget to like and follow. And you have yourself a wonderful rest of the day. I hope that you achieve what you're going for and that you do an amazing job with this. And always remember that you are valued and you are loved. Thank you and have a wonderful day. I'll see you next time.